Hello everyone. This is a webinar about around brownfield development. Uh, this is uh, and yeah, why we're meeting because in terms brownfield and React Native, it's uh, pretty common or pretty popular out there, and I think we could do a brownfield development for like 9 years or 10 years now with React
Oh my
Native,
God.
right? Yeah. So why are we talking about it today, Bodak? Maybe, maybe you can help me.
Okay, so why are we talking about it? That's because it's now easier. And when I say easier, it's because of a library called React Native Brownfield. Now, this is a library that we published like before. I think we had this for the past 6 years or something like that. I didn't check the publishing date, but we have added a lot of new features and they're also exciting to this library, React Native Brownfield. And for that reason, now it's easier to set up a brownfield application and yeah, just like maintain it, all that we have in the library right now.
Yeah. So it's been pretty challenging so far to add React Native to existing
Oh yeah,
browsers to existing apps.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, and this is for both iOS and for Android. So that's why we're meeting here. That's why we hope you're interested in that space. You maybe tried adding React Native to existing application, or you're trying to do that like right now, or maybe you're evaluating React Native as a technology choice. So let us know in the comments, and we
I think the
will.
thing is
Yeah.
like before going into all this, when I first started React Native, I didn't even know what brownfield was. So like there is this term. Should we go through it here, like before we even show off like another
We
slide?
yeah, we will uncover that. So
Oh,
uh
okay.
so first thing first, let's introduce ourselves.
Yep.
So maybe I'll start with myself. I'm Michał Pierzchała, principal engineer at Callstack. I'm responsible for research and development and open source projects. And you can find me on GitHub or X under Daimaki handle. And together with me is Burak. Uh,
Yep. Hello,
uh,
I'm Barak. I'm a regular software engineer because I don't have the principal next to me. And you can also find me on GitHub, on Twitter. I maintain a library called React Native Builder Bob, which lets you create even more libraries.
yeah, so now that you know us, we can go
Go for
through
the agenda.
a um, agenda of what we will be talking today. So we will start with what is brownfield development, as Burak mentioned.
Yeah.
He was quite confused when he entered React Native with this term,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah. So we will tell you what it takes to add the React Native to existing projects. How is communication between React Native views and native app handled? Challenges with today's approach of doing React or doing adding React Native to the iOS
Any
or
app.
Android
Yeah.
application as you go, by the book or following the documentation. We will show you our novel approach to brownfield development, which is about packaging React Native,
Mhm.
whole React Native app as a framework, and we will also introduce you to our library, React Native Brownfield, that makes it all a bit simpler on the runtime level.
Yeah. That's the part I'm excited about.
Yeah, and before we start um, with the with the brownfield, uh, I wanted to say a quick word about who we are and what we do. So Callstack works in open source with industry leaders as core contributors to React Native and official meta partners. We develop a bunch of libraries such as Repack, Reassure, React Native Paper, React Native for
Bomb.
Vision OS, Enterprise Framework, Bob. And with those libraries, we help millions of developers build high performance, scalable applications every day. So that's about us. Let's get right into
This
brownfield
term,
development.
brownfield.
Yeah. So in software engineering, we have this, and actually in regular engineering, we have this term of greenfield and brownfield development. So with
Yeah.
brownfield, we refer to a practice of building new systems or features within an existing software infrastructure. So it's
I can
adding
actually explain
something
it.
new
Yeah.
to something
I can.
existing.
So the brown part is coming from, think of it like this. It's coming from the civil engineering world.
Yeah.
Imagine you have an area with a factory that was previously operating in, and then it polluted all the ground. Now the ground is all brown. And if you are gonna like have a new project on that area, it's called a brownfield project, and that's the opposite of the greenfield. And that's the analogy to the software world we have.
Yeah, and for React Native, Brownfield describes integrating React Native components, which are driven by JavaScript and rendering as native views and native modules into some established native Android and iOS or any other platform and apps on these platforms. So Brownfield React Native development is also inherently complex because of that. Since every decision impacts existing systems and the new system, communication between these two cause some runtime and development overhead, and built systems need to handle two or more, and that's usually more types of technologies, which is adding to the technical depth and like sheer complexity of the code base. So what I'm showing here on the slide is an example application where we can imagine we have it's a native application. It has this bottom navigation. It's a part of this native app, and when we click on the services tab, we are opening a new screen. And this screen, in this particular example, is driven by React Native. So it's a React Native view embedded into a native application. And this is how, in the grand scheme of things, this is how it looks. This is how it looks like, and it's as simple as this, and as complex, which we will
Yeah.
we will get to. So when the teams are deciding to go brownfield, so for example, what we are seeing with our clients, with apps out there, and big companies adopting React Native, for example, it's when they want to gradually transition to a new technology, such as React Native. Converting your entire app to React Native is in one go,
Yeah.
maybe quite impractical, and it's actually a big risk, and a gradual transition, feature by feature or screen by screen, component by component, can reduce this risk and the overall cost that's associated with it. Another one is enabling web developers to build native apps. So in many products, we will have, like, most certainly a web app and a mobile app. And if we have a mobile app, it's like even more certain that we will have a web. That means we have web engineers that are likely writing React, and on the mobile we have React Native. So
Yeah.
there's a React part. So maybe that's a way to get those web engineers contribute to our mobile code base and maybe increase our velocity or help us out. And that's what happens actually. This is what we're experiencing with our clients. This is what we see
Mhm.
in the community. Web developers familiar with React can transition to developing mobile app features. It's usually not a seamless transition.
Yeah.
That depends on the app setup. Um, and it's worth to remember that as a web developer, if you come to mobile, you're entering like a new browser with
Yeah.
with new these are new environments like Android or iOS, new build tools. There is a lot of things to wrap your head around, so
Yeah.
it may take time. Another thing is replacing web views with native functionality. This is something that we are seeing more and more often. So native apps often use web views for certain user interactions, such as authentication, handling payments, managing user accounts, support. And these teams are not really happy with the user
Yeah.
experience of web views. So they introduced them because this code was already available, written by web team, for example. But it's not the native experience that we look for in our app. So our users are expecting something different. And in this case, React Native screens, which are rendering in native application, native primitives, uh,
Mhm.
are often perfect replacement of those WebView functionality. And the last we wanted to share with us is about sharing UI components across different platforms. So common UI elements can easily be reused across Android, iOS, and web, uh, and we could actually streamline the maintenance a bit and ensure the like feature consistency and sometimes a UI consistency as well between our platforms. So this is especially powerful because it's unfortunately pretty often that iOS and Android apps are not feature like they don't have feature parity. One
Yeah.
platform will typically move faster than the other,
Yeah.
and web teams will often move even faster, as they can also deploy multiple times a day, which is not a given for mobile developers. So yeah, there's a lot of uh,
Reasons. Yeah.
reasons to go brownfield. But
And
most importantly is when you want to introduce this new tech stack
yeah.
and you want to do it in a non-disruptive way, so you don't need to stop the world and rewrite everything from
Mhm.
scratch. That rarely is successful. It happens, but it's rarely successful.
Yeah.
You would rather want to incrementally adopt more and more of that new technology uh, until you get to uh, the to the like tipping point and migrate it.
And I can add some stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. So speaking about replacing the web views, so you mentioned like the biggest reason to have any web views at all would be generally like, oh, we already have this code on web, like login, like support. So like, why don't we use this right on the native app as a web view? There's another use case for web views that I see, and where the React Native is a perfect replacement. It's experimentations. So, for instance, we had a past client. We experimented a lot with their screens. One screen, for instance, is the payment screen, right? That's like where you want to experiment a lot. So, like because you can measure it directly. If there's a increase in sales, that means that screen is successful. So you want to experiment as much as possible with that screen. And that screen should also feel good. And that's not something you can often find with web views because of all those problems. Also, web views are not as capable as native APIs are. Like, you don't have access to certain APIs with web views. So that's also like another place that you can use React Native perfectly. Also, React Native replaces web views well because web views often have minimal amount of dependencies. Like they like accept some initial URL params from the native app and then just like work on top of it. They probably have an event emitter where they send certain events to communicate with the native application, the original app, and that's where like React Native shines really good. You can just replace that web view and also keep the same communication method, like an event emitter, like an initial URL param, and just replace the web view part with native.
Yeah, yeah. This is pretty important case as well. So, Burak, as we
Mm-hmm.
have you,
Yeah.
what does it or what does it mean to add a like what's brownfield or
Okay.
state of brownfield today? Uh,
Today.
yeah. So, uh,
Oh my
so
god.
maybe I'll go about this one actually.
Okay.
So, and you can add some extra
Chime
context
in.
on top
Okay.
of that. Yeah. So, uh, in a typical example that when you go to reactnative.dev or check some articles on the web, you will find a like large um, go walkthroughs of and tutorials on
Yeah.
how to add React Native to existing application. It will be tied to some version of React Native.
Hmm.
You will have a hard time going
Yeah.
through it. It's a lot of steps. And most importantly, like one of the first steps is you will need to set up a directory structure that is supported by React Native tooling. So that's often the first obstacle that the teams are the bumping into because
Yeah.
it's like who wants to change their folder structure linking
Like
yeah,
it's not just folders, it's also like repositories. You have to have a
yeah,
single repository.
yeah, yeah. And another thing is that you will need to set up npm in your native iOS, native Android project. So set up Node.js, some package manager. You will need to install those dependencies. So for native engineers, this often something new. And for iOS, you will need to integrate CocoaPods into your project, where you probably migrated off CocoaPods like a few years ago and using
Yeah. SPM.
Swift Package Manager, and yeah, so this is like another no red flag. Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
not adopting that. I will need to change my directory structure, add some extra repositories maybe, and add some legacy tooling that I don't want to. Um, and I moved off already. Another step would be integrating React Native dependencies into your native build tools. You would need to add a few libraries, a few
Yeah.
plugins for your Gradle configuration on Android. You would need to add some extra frameworks, some link some libraries on iOS side. So it creates this tight coupling between your native project and React Native, and that can be like once you're there, it's fine. When React Native is being upgraded, changes some dependencies, you will need to take that into account,
Yeah.
which is quite problematic for engineers, for native engineers specifically, that don't often know that there is a new version of React Native that someone upgraded to. And last step would be to import React, which is now, or React Native, which is now available in your application, and instantiate the root view in your native app.
Hmm.
So, uh, what we thought is that these 3 steps are not really necessary. Like what we would like to do mostly is to just import React and instantiate it in a native. Maybe do some other steps that are easier. So this is the past. What we can do tomorrow, and actually today, what we're doing for many clients for last couple of years, especially last couple of months, as we've perfected this approach, is uh,
The
we
packaging
don't
approach.
ask you to change your repository structure. What you will need, because we are taking a different approach conceptually. Instead of tightly integrating React Native in this, monolith native application, we're going a more modular approach where we would pack whole React Native app together with all the JavaScript out there in a single artifact, such as XCFramework or AAR. So
Yeah.
essentially, a framework or a library. We package it all together, and this allows you to import React as like any other package. Like import it from SPM or import it from Maven, and you can use that in your application. So this requires configuring XCFramework for iOS and AAR for Android
Yeah.
targets in your React Native app. That will be the first step. Then the next one is packaging whole React Native app as a framework. And you can do so in a custom script, or you can use React Native Enterprise Framework. It's another project that we are that we are developing, and I'm displaying a QR code where you can access some documentation on how to do it right now. And yeah, but you don't have to adopt React Native Enterprise Framework. It's
Yeah.
like a more quality of life improvement for the whole flow, because you will package your React Native app as a framework multiple times a day, a weekend, and a month. And the last
Yeah.
step is the same, like import React Native and instantiate it in your native app, or actually import your framework and instantiate it in a native app. So this makes it more approachable to native engineers to even try React Native, because uh, there is no blocker in terms of changing directory structure. There is no overcomplicating the whole dependency setup, other than adding a new dependency that you control, the
Hmm.
framework, instead of some actual transitive dependencies of React Native, which are way harder to maintain,
Yeah.
and then importing that as a framework. Burak, would you like to add anything on top of that before we go into how this all looks from a code React Native app perspective?
Yeah. So here's what I would add here. We mentioned the package step, and it's not like we're doing like something really crazy where we like have a lot of like custom build scripts that call some crazy tools. It's just that we use Xcode build from the command line. We call that, we build a target, and that's it. Same for Android. Um, the good part about RNEF is that we already figured out what exactly needs to happen. So we created a simple JavaScript script to handle all that. So like that would be a great approach with RNEF in this case. Otherwise, we'll probably use something like a shell script, one that's a bit crazy to manage all that.
Uh, yeah. So let us go through a small configuration of how would you set this up in your application. And
Okay.
uh, we've changed it, or we've divided into setting up your React Native application and your native applications. So we'll start with React Native application because this is the first step. You need to have something to import. So first, we are adding this React Native Brownfield library from Callstack.
I guess
It
there's like a step 0. That's to like
Yeah.
create a new React Native app from scratch
Oh
by
yeah.
using
Oh yeah. If
comments.
you
Yeah,
if you don't have a React Native app, then yeah, there is a step 0.
create one. Yeah,
Initialize a new app, and you will need to use the React Native Enterprise Framework or React Native Community CLI to do that, because Expo, which is a great way to develop greenfield apps, doesn't really have a good story for uh, supporting brownfield. And I think we tried um, uh, packaging an Expo application in such a way. There are some blockers
yeah.
that the team is hopefully solving in SDK 54 or so, but they're not there yet. This is at least for the EAS update or Expo update for the over-the-air update service. But for a whole app, I think we're there's a long way to go. Expo is just not focusing on this kind of
As of
experience.
now. Yeah, I think there was like a problem with the Expo modules core with the Expo app delegate or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's just hope that they're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. So for now, you can use Community CLI or React Native Enterprise Framework, and you can start with that. So having that dependency, and we're going through those steps for iOS. There are equivalent steps on Android,
Android,
which
yeah.
we will link to as well. And for iOS, for your React Native iOS project, you will need to add a target to like a framework target to your pod file.
So what's the
To
target?
Yeah, so maybe you can tell
okay.
us.
Yeah, I can chime in here. So if you are familiar with, I don't know, like monorepos, like you would probably have like all those workspaces for your, I don't know, like both app, native app, web app. All those workspaces are basically the equivalent of Xcode targets. So like you can add a target for your main application and a target for a library. You would essentially have something like a monorepo, but not really. So in this case, we need a framework target because we're going to build a framework out of your React Native app code and then the JavaScript parts as well. So yeah, you just go ahead, click on Xcode. There's a button that says add new target, hit framework target, and that's it. Then you have to register it to the Cacao pod so that it can add the dependencies of React Native.
Yeah. So these are not like exhaustive steps.
I think we have a visual
the
guide.
bulk of it. Yeah, we have it
in our new. Okay.
Yeah, then you would need to set up
That's the part I love the most.
the framework target file, like a Swift file that that imports
and exports.
and exports some common functionality thanks to React Native Brownfield project. Then you will package your project to an XCFramework, and you can use RNEF or React Native Enterprise Framework Brownfield iOS plugin for that, which will give you this package iOS helper command that you'll be able to use, or you can borrow some scripts from our example repos that we will show later.
And then this command is calling the Xcode build command under the hood to build your framework target.
So next thing, Burak, would be to update the app delegate, right?
So this one is a bit crazy. You still need to add this window thing. I think it comes by default with the React Native CLI template now. Oh, sorry, the community CLI template. But you need to add this for React Native to work. There's this window variable that you have to add to your app delegate, and then you initialize it with basically the full UI screen stuff. And you can also initialize a React Native here as well. We have some code examples that didn't probably fit the screen here. And then that's it on the setup side. Now, I guess we have the usage on the next slide. Oh yeah, perfect. So we got the UI kit example. If you use that still for some reason instead of Swift UI, we basically call this load view function from your framework. And here you pass a module name. And you might be thinking of like, oh, I have my JavaScript code. And how am I going to create modules out of that JavaScript code? Like, do I have to write some sort of like which case statement where I load some module based on what's being passed to me? That's a no. There's an API in React Native that allows you to register arbitrary modules. And then once you register something, you can get it from this load view function. You can take a look at that module name parameter that's accepting the main. So in that case, if you replace that with anything else, like your module name, you can have multiple of them. That's going to load like the according module. That's how you basically connect JavaScript code with the Swift code in this case. Same for Kotlin as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you would expose that module from your React Native application. And if you're using Swift UI, you can use a
Oh
different
yeah, I love that.
syntax. Yeah,
So
yeah,
just like this React Native view, I think Oscar created this with React Native Brownfield, and then you just pass a module name and that's it. No like crazy View controller logic, nothing else. And I'm going to show you how this works later. So yeah, it's going to be perfect.
yeah. And just to not leave all those Android fans and
We
developers
love you. Yeah.
on the ice, it's also working with Android. So for example, with Android Compose, you can just use this
Yeah.
React Native Brownfield shared create view
Yeah.
helper that will attach to a fragment uh,
Hmm.
based from the factory of that Android view.
Yeah.
And I won't say this is like all of you what you have to do. You will need to tinker around Gradle like Gradle configuration to
Yeah.
make it all happen. But then it's once you're done with the setup and
Yeah.
loading the framework from some local Maven uh, repository, you're
Hmm.
basically good to go with this
Exactly.
kind of a
Yeah. Just, yeah.
yeah, and this is all possible thanks to the React Native Brownfield library, and this library. This is something that we've created years ago, and recently we've revamped it and upgraded to the version 1, so it supports both new and old architecture, and it's also leveraging the new APIs that we've contributed to the core of React Native based on our work on the React Native Vision OS um, um, the project, which allows us to use scene delegate, for example, on iOS.
Mm.
Allows us to have multiple entry points and load multiple views in a predictable manner. And with new architecture, it's all also synchronous. So there is
Oh, yeah.
no jumping around and stuff like that. So you can easily integrate React Native with your existing app with this library. You can start React Native with one method and invoke code as soon as it's loaded.
Yeah.
You can reuse the same instance. There are helpers for navigations. You can disable or enable native gestures, hardware buttons, straight from JavaScript as
Oh my
well.
God.
It supports all native languages, Objective-C, Swift, Java, Kotlin, all the frameworks like what you've seen here with Swift UI and Jetpack Compose, and it also has some predefined native building blocks,
No, yeah.
so that it's just easier to uh, set up or tear down React Native views as you go. So you can go to GitHub /Callstack /React Native Brownfield or you can Google that library,
Mhm.
or maybe we even have
No.
a QR
Technology.
code. Yeah, thank you, our editing team, who are covering all of that for us. So yeah, now you can either type it on your keyboard or screenshot or just
Use your
scan
phone. Yeah.
with your phone. Um, and we're pretty happy. With this library, as it solves a lot of those runtime problems and challenges that are common between communicating native and React Native realms together. So you have
Mhm.
easier job managing your application as
Yeah.
it's growing, and and it's separate from the packaging side, which you can either, as we mentioned, use some custom scripts, or you can adopt React Native Enterprise framework
Yeah.
to together with a Brownfield plugins to do that for you in the basically same way, or very similar way, in the similar API as you would build your mm, Android or iOS. So this brings me to a live demo
Oh
that
my God.
Burak has prepared for you.
Okay.
So yeah, we
Okay.
can.
So before I start, I want to say that we see all the questions and we're going to come to them right after we're done
Yep.
with the live demo.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So after live demo, we will answer all of that, almost all of
Okay. I think I have the screen now. It's not cursor, unfortunately. It's just VS Code. So yeah. Uh, um, so here what I have is a basic React Native app, like
that.
app.
But are you using Neovim?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so we have like a regular React Native app with iOS, Android, a package JSON, and this is my app. What I'm going to showcase is, first of all, my app, I think like this is a default app that comes from the Connected CLI. And then if I go to iOS, I have so like we've been talking about this framework target so far, and here's what it looks like. It's just a folder in your iOS folder. But the special thing about this is we created this with Xcode. So like it adds some special references to the Xcode project file. So that's what you have to do as well. And we have it as fancy _export stuff. This is like crazy new, I think. I don't know. I didn't know Swift was capable of this. So basically what happens here is that this is your own framework, but here you say that, oh, just go ahead and make this import as my like public interface so that people can directly use it. So like instead of creating a custom public interface here, I can just import React Brownfield, which is coming from React Native Brownfield library. And yeah, just like let people use it. And then once we have all that, we have a fancy build script instead of RNF in this repo. So this is what I'm going to showcase right now. Like basic shell scripts. And what this is doing is just like calling Xcode build. It's going to take that scheme we had for that framework target, which is this one. Yeah, it's going to take it. It's going to build it. It's going to write it down for both iPhone OS and simulator. And once it's done, this command is going to output to framework files, and then we're going to merge them together. And voila, we have this file, which is an XCFramework, which I hope we have this one, React Brownfield.XCFramework. And then once you have this file, what you can do is you can go to your native application, go to the frameworks. You might notice that we have 3 of them, which are going to be with just a single one with Swift Package Manager, but we're working on it. So you have to like still add Hermes, which is the JavaScript runtime. This is what runs your JavaScript code, basically. We have the React Brownfield. There is like confusing naming here. I guess like we can also figure that out. React Brownfield is the React Native Brownfield from Callstack. And then we also have our own framework, which doesn't do nothing right now. It is only exposing React Brownfield. But anyway, and
Yeah,
then let's go.
totally not confusing.
Yeah, it's totally not confusing. Yeah. So this is Swift UI app. And I had to add an app delegate because of this weird Windows stuff. So yeah, you add a window and like that's it. And then once it's the time to run React Native, you call, so like you import the framework, you call this start React Native function, which is going to start it. I think it loads JavaScript to the memory, but I'm not sure about the implementation detail. Anyway, then once it's done, you can basically like pass a closure that's going to be run after we start React Native. And then, yeah, we have our View, and then we had this on a previous slide, just React Native View thing. It's also coming from our framework. And then you just pass a module name. In my case, it's main. Let me show where it comes from. And this is the API that we're going to use. This app registry.register component that's coming from React Native. You can basically like register anything with this. The name is up to you. In this case, our name is main. For some reason, you can also change it, but yeah.
And this is this module name that you're exposing, right?
Yeah.
So you can, in this file, in a typical Greenfield React Native application, you'll have like one registered component, maybe 2 or 3 if you're registering some live activities or widgets or stuff like that. And for your Brownfield application, you can have multiple components that you're exposing to different parts of your native app.
Yeah, like this could have been my onboarding screen, for instance, and then I would have like another screen with like, I don't know, settings or something like that. But yeah, so once we have all this, there's actually something really impressive about all this. I hope that. Terminal. So I'm running the Metro dev server. What this does is, as you change your code, this development server is going to let the React Native app that the code has changed, how to reload it. And the funny thing is, it also works with Brownfield right now. So let me just build this. And it's going to build fast though. Yeah.
So what we mentioned in like previous parts of this webinar is that you will won't like your native engineers to learn npm and node modules and get them use CocoaPods. But there are scenarios where you would like to have you would like to develop your debug version of your application embedded inside your native application. So this is a workflow that is especially important for React Native engineers that are working in the Brownfield application.
Definitely.
Although for native applications, you would use a release framework target or release configuration for your framework, so it would bundle whole JavaScript into a single file.
And then you can also like custom flavors. The API is totally up to the end consumer. This is just something that React Native accepts as an option. And right now, we pass it to the dev server if it's in debug mode. If it's not, then we just use a pre-compiled file of JavaScript. So yeah, and yeah, let's go to the JavaScript code, I don't know, and change something. And then like we can add like the text.
Yeah.
I'm not able to.
Hello, webinar.
1, 2, 3. Hello, webinar. God. Okay, I'm gonna save it out, and yeah, it's right here. Hello, webinar. And so here's something really cool that I just realized. If I go here and hit canvas, and if I resume my SwiftUI preview, oh my God, it's so anticlimactic.
Yeah. We can still wait for it.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's also loading.
Yeah, this is actually pretty surprising to me too. So yeah, that's basically how it. Yeah,
that's basically fun. So this is your React Native within delivered as a fully native view in your Xcode preview explorer.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess you could also open the hierarchy view as well, but that's maybe that's for another webinar. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a pretty small application, so it should load fast. Yeah. And as you can see, React Native is native. In case you don't believe, I'm pretty sure if you're here, you already know that.
Yeah, and we're running on the new architecture because Fabric is true. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and at the same time, it would work with old architecture. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
new projects will typically start with the architecture, so we gotta have that in mind.
Absolutely. I think this is all with the live demo, so we can
Okay.
come to the questions.
So thank you, Burak, for the live demo. Thank you, demo gods, for
Yeah.
watching over us. It didn't break. It like Burak was able to show some unscripted things as well. So so kudos to you. I'll just like to present some final slides, which is a thank you message. We're very happy that we can host you with uh, with this webinar. I hope that this was informative. And if you are interested in brownfield development, or if you would like to try React Native in your existing iOS or Android app, Callstack has a special offer uh,
Oh,
that would allow you to run your run a React Native example app in your mobile app in just 1 week. So this way you could see how React Native fits your stack,
yeah.
where the value is or what it isn't, what it takes to expand and scale. And what you will have is React Native live in your app. So you'll be able to deploy it. It's a part of a tab navigation or some flow or some screen. You will get a technical plan for how to scale the usage of React Native across the app. And you will also get metrics set up to track performance, integration cost, and the impact on the end user experience. And it's all within 1 week. So if you would like to try this special offer, let's talk. You can scan this big QR code, uh, and uh, and I think now we're ready
Ask your questions.
to answer those questions. So I will start with the first one. It's actually two questions, so I'll read the first one
Yep.
from David. Um, Both React Native Brownfield and RNEF can be used to integrate React Native components into native. When would
Absolutely.
you recommend using one over the other? So these are not mutually exclusive tools. They're rather
Exactly.
complementing each other. React Native Enterprise Framework is for the setup and like development. So it will allow you to package your application into a framework, so it's easily consumable by a native application. I hope that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty clear from the demo. And where React Native Brownfield is important, is to make it easier for you from your React native from your React from your native app perspective, to have those runtime helpers that would, for example, initialize a new React Native view, as Burak showed,
Yeah.
that would uh, spin out the new JavaScript engine instance, set up all the initialization logic of React
Yeah.
Native, and or reuse that instance across different screens.
I can also chime in here. So to answer the first question, too long didn't listen, you should use both. One does the building part, RNEF does the building part, also it gives you all the boilerplate code that you need. React Native Brownfield handles communication. So
Yeah.
communicate with your native app with JavaScript part.
And the second question is, what would be a good workflow to develop the React Native part until ready to integrate? For example, should we have a React Native app with RDF to develop the React Native components until they are ready to be bundled into
I love this.
the iOS and Android side. Yes, exactly. So
I love
what
it.
teams are doing usually is that they will have a separate setup for iOS, like native app, and separate setup for React Native app. This separate setup may mean separate repository that you would consume from your native app, or you wouldn't, because all you need to consume is actually a framework. So you may write some tooling around that. What we often see is that teams will use Git submodules to load the separate repository, and this allows React Native teams to work in isolation, and native teams to import whatever version of React Native artifact
Yeah.
that the React Native team has produced. And also it allows React Native engineers to check out the native repository and see how their app is integrating within the Brownfield app. But for the most part, the React Native team would rather work on, let's say, a greenfield, fully React Native application that will
Yeah.
expose some parts to the Brownfield. So thank you, David, for
Great
this question.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, there is another one. Are there any limitations on the library support coming from the React Native ecosystem that we should be aware of? So,
That's a yes.
Burak,
Okay.
yeah, there are some gotchas. Yeah.
There are. Yeah. And we're working on to fix them. Like, yeah. First of all, I know about like a library that causes some sort of problems. That's React Native Firebase. Problem here is that React Native Firebase ships with a native framework on its own. So when you add like React Native Firebase to your project, you're also adding a framework file that's built to your native app. And that might be a problem sometimes because your existing native app might also have the same framework file. So those kind of stuff are a bit tricky to deal with. Also, there's another example. Let's say you have a native dependency, a React Native's native dependency is one of those. And it also comes with its own framework, but your app doesn't have that framework. In that case, you just show I had this Hermes stuff, React Native Brownfield stuff, all those frameworks into my app. I had to add all those. So you'll also need to add the oh right, this is gonna be a tricky sentence. So like your React Native dependency comes with a framework. You should also add that to your own native app as well.
Yeah, and these are those tricky parts.
Yeah.
And you will also need to make sure that you're not bundling the same framework twice in your application.
I think Linker's gonna fail if that's
yeah.
the case.
So how are we figuring this out today? So what you can do?
Okay. So how can we figure this out? First of all, for the Firebase, I didn't do this myself. I heard some other person from Callstack doing this, but they basically tell React Native Firebase to use the Firebase dependency coming from the host application and not just like bring its own dependency. So like that's one way to mitigate. And when it comes to mitigating the fact that sometimes you need to bring your own dependencies to the native app, we can just use the Swift package manager. Like you can add as many frameworks as you want, and it's always going to give you a single consumable URL thing package. So those are the mitigation. I think the hard part is figuring those dependencies out. But we had some ideas about building some tools into, I think, either RNEF or React Native Brownfield to like detect all those dependencies automatically and just like apply those mitigations by default, and you don't have to worry about those.
Yeah. So another question is from Joe. My native devs are very resistant to adding React Native. My React Native devs love it. Of course, they're React Native developers. Any tips or talking points for bringing the native developers to the dark side or into the light?
I have some opinions. Yeah. You want to go first or should I?
Yeah, I can go first.
Okay.
Don't force your native engineers to adopt web tooling. So one way or the only way to do that would be to use this packaging approach that we just introduced you to, and this way you will have you will at least achieve not disrupting native engineers too much with your React Native code. What's else, Burak?
Okay. Um, so if I was a native dev, I would think of React Native as something unpure, right? Because like it adds all these things that God, meaning Apple, didn't intend to build. I like what I see is Android devs are more happier with React Native than iOS devs because iOS devs like everything pure and React Native is unpure. In this case, what I would do is React Native is native. We just showed like that layer graph and it was actually loading native views. So I would say it's even better than web views because it's not loading just the web page. It's loading all the native views under the hood. So you can showcase that we use actual native views. And then you can also try to tell that, oh, look, you have web views. And then here's like a perfect replacement. You don't have to worry about like, here's the clear integration point. It's not going to mess up with your existing stuff. You just have to set up an event listener to communicate, and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. If it breaks, it's on the React Native team, not on you. So like that would be a good communication point.
Yeah, yeah, and also for native engineers, it's often like refreshing to see how things are built when
Oh
they
yeah.
can use JavaScript and when they can use actually React, and compose the UI out of some building blocks. If they're familiar with Swift UI, then it's gonna be way easier to get them onto this React Native train, especially if you tell them that, hey, this code is like already 90% compatible with Android and
Oh
with
yeah.
other platforms as well. So you won't need to rebuild that.
Yeah. Also,
I
like
also
when it
shared,
makes sense,
yeah,
just use native screens. Like you don't have to
yeah,
force
yeah,
everything to be React Native.
exactly. This is what we're doing pretty often
Exactly.
for our clients.
Oh
And
yeah.
you can also check out our like React Native Brownfield insights that we're linking here. There are some materials that you may find um, helpful when showing someone to React Native, because
Mhm.
these are the articles and materials that we've prepared with native engineers or non-React Native engineers in mind.
Yep.
Um, another another comment is from Pragati.
No.
I
Are we
hope
gonna
that
do live debugging?
uh, yeah. So failed to build a project Xcode build 65. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Um, Run CLI with verbose flag, whatever. I created new app, but this error run when iOS app. Uh, what is issues? So so there is some demo project that you're running with the React Native Community CLI, and there are multiple things that could go wrong. For example, you may need to install CocoaPods. You may need to if you're running a
Yeah.
uh, you created new app, so it's likely using new architecture. But if you somehow run it with old architecture, you also need to adjust your pod install command to
Yeah.
do so. Although if you're doing it for CLI, it should work out of the box. You may have npm dependencies not resolved correctly, for example,
Oh.
or corrupted, so autolinking couldn't work. You may have some signing configuration that you would need to do, and anything else that pops into your
Oh my
mind.
god.
Yeah,
Like there are so
yeah.
many probability.
There's so many problems. So make sure to pass that dash dash verbose flag. It will give you more information, or try to run this
Xcode.
project directly through Xcode,
That's what I
as
do most of the times.
yeah,
Yeah.
as this error is instructing you to.
Yeah.
So I think we answered all the questions, which
Oh, yeah.
is which is unexpected actually. So yeah, we are typically running out of time, and we're already past the time. David says that
I
super
love
to
that.
use this along React
React
Native Web
Native
GPU.
GPU.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
this is a great library, I think,
It
from
is.
William, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So there are some interesting advancements in also in
Look at that.
Skia. Yeah. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you get this error when pod install. Yeah. So
Probably have
there's
like
gonna
a
be so Pragati, feel free to uh, email us, the full error, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, or the DM on X, and I will help you out.
we also have a
So
Discord channel that you can
yeah,
add questions in. So yeah.
I'm not sure if we have a link. Oh, I think we don't have a link to
Oh,
Discord
no.
channel, so it may be hard for you to find it. But if you go to callstack.com,
Yeah.
you should hopefully find it through the navigation. If you won't be able to find it, email directly to Mike, who is who is directly responsible for the website, for the redesign. I personally believe he made a really decent job, compared to the previous version. Um,
Yeah.
so so yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's way easier to navigate.
And the
So
blog is beautiful now. Like I
yes,
remember talking
yes.
to Satya and he was complaining a lot about that blog design.
Yeah, I mean, I was complaining about our old
Okay.
blog all the time, and all I heard is, "Yeah, we are redesigning this screen or so." So thankfully, yeah, no, thankfully we have that sorted. So so thank you, um, thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. Thanks for all the questions,
Yeah, those were good
and
questions.
we really hope this is informative for you. This is why we're doing it. We want to share the knowledge with you. We know that brownfield topic is not the most popular out there. It's however, we believe there needs to be a good way for existing native applications to have to have it easy to adopt
Exactly.
React Native, because if it's not, then it's gonna be harder for us to sell all those benefits of React Native if it's so
Yeah.
hard to get without a rewrite.
Yeah.
So thank you once again, um, uh, and once again, if you would like to try uh, React Native Brownfield, and you won't be able for whatever reason try it yourself, Callstack is an expert agency that will help you do it.
Oh yeah.
We can set up a quick MVP for you in a week.
Mhm.
So keep that in mind, and yeah, that's a wrap. So thank you, Burak, for
Oh,
joining me today
yeah,
as
thank you for
well.
having me.
Yeah, thanks for the live demo. I think
Oh yeah.
this is something that I'm gonna link a lot of the times, to multiple people asking about, hey, how this old brownfield works. Thankfully, the repository that you were working on is open source.
And available. Yeah.
So we will also share some information on how you can access it, and what to do with it.
For one.
Yeah. Thank you once again, and see you next time.
Yep. See ya.